Well, today we are this first workshop is on Cambodia. The purpose, we are going to we have invited a number of distinguished speakers from the Cambodian side, and also including people in the government and people, the management operators of special economic zones, as well as people in the professional service. Oh, I did not. So today, after we are going to invite our distinguished speakers to give us their presentations. We have sent a rundown of today's event to all of us before today, so I would not spend the valuable time of talking about the rundown again. Okay, so we would pass the time immediately to our distinguished speakers so that we have more time for discussion and interaction afterwards. Okay, so may I invite now the first speakers, Mr. Suchit to address the audience and participants. Suchit is the director of Foreign Language Department of NIDIA, which is a research in Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the government of Cambodia. So I think I understand that Suchi is going to share with us a new strategies by the government of Cambodia on economic diplomacy, which has the impact on the development of the kingdom. So that with that, I Suchi, the time is yours.
Thank you, Professor. Good morning, Professor. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and friends. I'm here today. I'm very happy that our work, it has been over the last 2 years that we have been travels to Cambodia and arranged meeting with the various ministry from the government's entities to private sector, and we visited some special economic zone. But in the meantime, today I won't touch deeper into special economic zone because we have our specialists here, His Excellency Sopal, and also Professor Kisarayvat is also here, who are specialized in Belt and Road and special economic zone. But I wish to share the Cambodia economic diplomacy strategies 2021 to 2023, which have launched last week. Surprisingly, we launched this strategy last week, presided over by the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Pratsakan. So why we launched economic diplomacies? I think the simplest answer is we don't have one, and now we have to launch one. But why we act now? Because, you know, because of the pandemics, economic growth has been plunged in Cambodia. But however, Cambodia, it has performed well to cope with the spread of the virus. And I think we have better, I think we are better in the region in the counters against COVID-19. So now we're back as normal in Cambodia. You may ask Dr. Kisarayvat or Catherine, who's live in Cambodia. We are sitting in control. But by the way, what is Cambodia economic diplomacy strategy 21-23? The goal is to establish the efficient and implement mechanisms that can promote growth and promote strength cooperation in all the sectors, which is Cambodia Foreign Ministry as coordinators, because we don't have the core coordinator before. We haven't used our potentials, especially our foreign missions, because in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have the embassies, we have the consulates, and we also have the honorary consulates across the country in Asia, Africa, Latin America, North America, and in Europe. But now, why we implement our economic diplomacies? Because they are interconnected system, that the fractional economic globalization that outpaces political globalization, which is kind of explained by a particular country to consider the degree of openness to the world economy in order to preserve some policy space regard to autonomy and sovereignty, especially in this time of crisis. For our part, for parts, digitalization, technological advancement are accelerating in the space with the globalization struggle under the rising pressure of nationalism and protectionism. So without the collective effort and concerts, effort of global level, economic recovery would certainly remain sluggish and uncertain, with the prospect of recession and the persistent even worsening. So we are expecting the global economy will continue to experience adverse impact in the near futures. As a consequence, developing countries must develop their own policy to respond capable of adapting to new environment and build up the capacity for competitiveness, and by enhancing economic diversifications, such as trades, investment promotion, agro-industry development, innovation and tourism development. We also need to reinforce the export-oriented growth model by initiating the system that can reform and attract more foreign direct investment, innovations, products and services. Reinforce human capitals, especially our diplomats who work in our mission abroad, which can connect the critical infrastructures and promote private sector's engagements to capture benefit and opportunities made possible under Cambodia for Cambodia industrial policies and also for the industrial revolution. So in this context, Cambodia economic diplomacy is essential to further its economic integration into the region and also the world, and deepens bilateral and multilateral cooperations, and diversify its source of growth, expand economic potential, and also take the full advantage of new opportunities. The strategies behind Cambodia diplomacy is protecting and promoting national interests of Cambodia in national interest in the regional and international levels, so secure our economic prosperity and social development. As has been said, Cambodia, the economic diplomacies will strengthen Cambodia national prestige, advancing and maximizing Cambodia interest becoming a middle income country by 2030 and also a high income country by 2050s. We're also looking for the strengthening of cooperations, collaborations, partnerships in international and national and international actors, relevant stakeholders, and promote social economic social development. So what is the objective of our economic diplomacies? If we have, our objective is to promote trades, attract foreign investments, promote tourism, and promote culture and sport. Under some of the background policies, such as we have a National Development Plan 2019-2023. We have industrial development policies 2015-2025. We have rectangular strategies, phase 4. In Cambodia, you know, our development as a rectangular strategy is a core of Cambodian governance reform. We start with the triangular strategy, and then we become upgraded into rectangular phase 1, and then we have phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. If we have time, I may share with you the Cambodia rectangular strategy phase 4 in discussions sections. And also we have Cambodia trade integrations strategies 2019 and 2023, which is linked to BRI. We are promote BRI, Belt and Roads initiative, by promoting investment, protections, promoting agro industry, and also promoting public and private partnerships. And our framework, we focus on a human resource with expertise development in diplomacies, which is we are building up our diplomat capacities. We are promoting international trade by pushing Cambodia's towards to join free trade agreement. We have recently conclude the free trade between Cambodia and China, and we are concluding the negotiation with the Cambodian-Korean free trade agreement. We are also join some of the countries in ASEAN, and from New Zealand and Australia, plus ASEAN +3, who concludes the regional comprehensive economic partnerships. And we wish to attract foreign direct investments, since we are better control the COVID-19 pandemics, and also we are reforming our investment law. So we are aiming at promotes foreign direct investments. We also wish to promote tourism and cultures and sports. As you may know, most of the countries heavily impacted by the COVID-19 on tourism and sport. Some sport events were canceled. The number of tourist arrival in Cambodia were dramatically drops, but somehow we managed to increase our local tourism. And our framing, in our framework, we also focus on branding strategies. Sorry, may have what happened. Branding strategy is a comprehensive communication strategies that we will be developed and promotes and promulgates the grand image of Cambodia. The main strategy include, among the other, commercial advertisements, information sharing, immersive trip to Cambodia to enhance reputation and branding of Cambodia are a crucial element to strengthen its competitiveness. Then our second action is about economic intelligence, economic informations, data collections, including analysis of policy or current affairs, will facilitate and well-informed decisions making, thereby strengthen Cambodia's competitiveness. This timely gathering of information will assist our government to tailor-make its policies in a manner that enable Cambodia to better compete with other countries, moreover to building a close context and consolidates relations with the key actors in institutions that will further reinforce our Cambodian competitiveness. Regarding the business community's engagement is one of a direct beneficiary of our economic diplomacy initiative. It's the business communities. The constant nurturing relationship between the government and the private sectors is a component of economic diplomacies, where the professional and social network, as well as partnership, plays a greater role in cultivating a goodwill and trust necessity to achieve a common interest and strengthening synergistic relations between the government and the private sector. The last action of Cambodia economic diplomacy is economic agendas. Economic agenda aim to promote economic interests, the priority of Cambodia foreign relations. the main task under economic agenda is to extract maximum benefits from existing bilaterals and multilateral mechanisms to advance Cambodia economic interests in the various mechanisms under the purview of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, such as joint communication, bilateral relations. You know, in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, annually, with the close relations to countries, we have a joint commission for bilateral cooperations, which is focused on a wide range of issues, including economics cooperations, political consultations, and also multilateral platforms. It could be better utilized to serve national economic interests. And the provision is of assistance to organize the trade missions, business visits as an integral part of economic agendas. For our strategies to achieve this framework objectives, we need to build human capitals. I think international practice in Hong Kong that used to be and still the financial hubs will give more edge to Cambodia diplomats. If such as international law, finance, we are able to train our diplomats to fully understand those kind of skills, communication skill, and also the information sharing, also the main core of our strategy. Because as I told you, why economic diplomacies? Because we don't have one. Now we start to have one. So by building a communication and information sharing mechanism is so important within and without of Cambodia. Public-private partnership also play a key role in our economic diplomacies. That I want to remind that our team has visited Ministry of Economy and Finance, and some of the project led to Belt and Roads, and then the Undersecretary of State at the Ministry of Economy and Finance stated the importance of private partnership, public and private partnership, with put into the practice of the Belt and Road project in Cambodia. And this is my last slide about the implementing timeline of economic diplomacies. Of course, we are keep improving capacity, skills of our diplomats who are currently posting abroad. We conduct online trainings, and also people at the ministry are training various skill and courses. We are established a TOO for our economic diplomacy. We are starting to gathering and formulate regular, disseminate social economic information. That's it's the better way for our diplomat that can act and quickly catch up, quickly work with our partner. Of course, improve collaborations and coordinations of our interministerial platforms, and conducting M&E, monitoring and evaluations. Phase 2, we have continue to develop our sharing platform, extend our trainings, strengthen public and private partnership, and multi-stakeholder dialogues. Of course, we keep improving our economic diplomacy performance. And the phase 3, at the end of a first phase of economic diplomacy, you know, we have the first phase of 2021, 2023. And then we'll continue our trainings program, regular updated tool to improve information sharing, consolidates overall M&E and achievements. And then we prepare for Cambodia economic diplomacy strategy 2024 and 2028. That's all my presentation this morning, and thanks for your kind attention. If you have any questions, we can catch up again in the discussion sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Suchit. Very informative brief, okay, on the latest strategic policy of the Cambodian government. I understand that the economic diplomacy is only released last month, right? So this is really an update of the government policy and enabling our participants, a very good understanding of what the government tries to do, okay, to enhance its own development, and also what does it offer to others, okay, and especially people from Hong Kong and beyond regarding how we can work together with the Cambodian actors, government and business. I see that how to develop the capacity is it's a major concern, right? So human resource development obviously is important, and also how to, of course, FDI, okay, foreign direct investment has always been a priority, but how to enhance it and how to do it better, and to diversify the sources of investment so that obviously we all have our different strengths, right? By getting more and pluralistic investors, certainly I think that people can work together even better. And so also about branding, okay, branding is actually about effective communication, right? How to really let people understand what do you want and what do we want, right? And so I think branding is actually, yeah, is telling people, okay, and what actually is the true story, and also how to mitigate misunderstanding, because this is inevitable, right? There always are gaps. You think that I say one, actually I'm saying two, right? So I think it's unavoidable that sometimes we got misunderstanding from time to time, even within families, right? So it's no problem that we find problems from time to time. The issue is how we come together and talk things out, okay, and talk things out, and so we contain the problems. So I think it is it's actually about effective communication and dispute resolution, and so that we work for a better common future, right? So I think that is a very good start, okay, and set the for the workshop. And so I look forward to more discussion in our later session. Okay, thanks for Suchit, okay, for now. And please, all our participants, you register, write down your little questions, okay, so that we can have more discussions in a while. And next, we would like to invite our next speaker. Our next speaker is Mr. Sohar Song. He's the Director of Public Relations and Promotion of Private Investment in the Council for the Development of Cambodia. Well, the Council for the Development of Cambodia, or in short, the CDC, is a very important ministry level, or in Cambodia, okay, in the government in Cambodia. So in particular regarding investment policy or strategic investment policies, including the management of the special economic zones. In particular, because this workshop has a focus on special economic zones in Cambodia. So that's why Mr. Song's sharing with us would be very important. So Mr. Song, may I pass you the time now?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Good morning from the Council for the Development of Cambodia. At the outset, I wish to congratulate and extend my thanks to the Research Center for Sustainable effort in organizing today's workshop. The theme of today's workshop signifies the importance of our concentration in accelerating the economic recovery via promotion of economic and trade cooperation through the development of special economic zones along the Belt and Road need to be enhanced, intensified, engage in a wider spectrum. If you allow me, I share my presentation, a short presentation that would give you a snapshot of how the Council for Development of Cambodia is working to promote investment in the special economic zone as well as in the other area. You can see the PowerPoint presentation well, right? I also appreciate Mr. Suchit for sharing with us recently adopted the economic diplomacy strategy, which is making Cambodia a way forward to jointly promote the economic development in Cambodia. Build on its solid foundation of the economic growth and development, Cambodia attach great importance to the implementation of our rectangular strategy phase 4, while tapping the synergy with the other regional and global initiatives, including but not limited to the Belt and Road Initiative. We know that the Belt and Road Initiative has proved to become one of the vital cooperation initiatives that bring world closer together on the basis of open, inclusive, win-win, and mutually beneficial cooperation. In this regard, the building of the economic and trade cooperation zone along the Belt and Road is expected to enable cross-the-board development of the industrial value chain and move the participating country upward in global value chain. Cambodia, as an active collaborator and supporter of this cooperation initiative, seeks to harness and seize every opportunity and advantage from the promotion of investment and development in the special economic zone and the industrial park. The establishment of industrial zone in the industrial park for SME in targeted provinces with the expectation to attract industrial cluster is a complementary effort to synergize with the Belt and Road Initiative and the ASEAN Community Vision, the Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025, and the Action Plan to deepen the Mekong Lanchang Production Capacity Cooperation, where Cambodia works to promote transformation and upgrading of the industrial structure, heighten the standing in the global value chain, push green and sustainable growth. Cambodia also joined with the other countries in Mekong Lanchang region to develop and carry out the cross-border trade and investment cooperation in the field of logistics, trade, and transport facilitation, e-commerce, industrial park, and cross-border economic zone, development, human resource, as well as technical and knowledge exchange. As witness, Cambodia approved 58 investment projects in the zone development itself, among which 23 zones are in operation and attracting investment in more than $4.31 billion to invest in that special economic zone. Despite being disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic, the special economic zone attracted investment at 248.38 billion last year, 2020. We also note that the product use in the special economic zone for export contributed to 19% of total export in Cambodia. You can see from this chart there an increase in the export product that produce in the special economic zone from year to year. Cambodia has approved investment of over 8.2 billion US dollar in 2020 compared to 2019. The approved investment is increased. It is increasing by around 12%. It is also worth to noting that Cambodia's economic performance remains in good prospect for the coming years as Cambodia experienced a minor impact on the flow of investment and strive to remain in terms of investment, promotion, and attraction. We still attract in a large number of investment from the region, from China, from Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, and also other countries in the USA. Cambodia economic growth, if we look at this, I just would like to bring to your attention that in this year, we expected to bounce back from the contraction of 3.1% to over 4%. This is the number projected by the Ministry of Economy and Finance very recently. But for the ADB, they projected that investment in Cambodia, economic growth in Cambodia might be around 5.9% this year, and will get more grow in the subsequent years. The COVID-19 pandemic created impact across the board, diminishing economic activity within the region, disrupting supply chain, and weakening investor confidence. And this unprecedented challenge has accelerated the digital transformation worldwide while setting the way of handling investment and in the post-pandemic to adapt the new normal. And this evolvement prompted Cambodia to provide a remote investor services through establishing the common IT platform, online system to handle qualified investment project linking with the CAMDEX, the Cambodia Data Exchange, is a single gateway for business registration. The investment tracking system has also been an instrument to enable investors to track their investment application. The request for the import duty exemption in the master list has also been done via National Single Window. That is a single portal for trade facilitation, is an online system. The Council for the Development of Cambodia is also working to support and provide a database for investment projects in order to improve the linkage between foreign firms to domestic suppliers while linking the regional and global value chain with that investment in Cambodia. In December last year, Cambodia have deployed a 7th round of incentive to promote private sector. That incentive would include financial aid to suspended workers in the textile and garment, tourism, and footwear sectors until the end of March 2021. And this is part of our pro-business approach that we provide to lure more investment to Cambodia. The exemption also provided for the monthly tax for hotel, guest house, travel agent, restaurant located in the selected province until the end of March 2021 as well. And tax exemption for 2021 for the patent tax for all businesses in tourism industry. And we also exempted, it's not exempted, it reduced the withholding tax rate for a new loan, both domestic and offshore, to 5% for 21 and 10% for the 2022. And the exemption of minimum tax payment for airline and suspension of aviation fee until March 2021. To make the investment remain resilient and accelerated growth, Cambodia has key priority in our national and international investment policy that not only encourage investment attraction of investment, but also ensure that it contributes to sustainable development. As guided under the Cambodia Industrial Development Policy, the work on 3 important dimensions, including the improving of legal framework, enhancing investment facilitation, undertaking the proactively investment promotion is of our priority. And that makes us work to build this fundamental legal framework to facilitate and promote, also protect the foreign investment, that we provide a fair and equitable treatment to both local and foreign investors. A new investment law that we already finalized the draft will also include the targeted small and medium enterprise in that law in order to enable them to get a more comprehensive investment incentive scheme. The welfare benefit that enhance the productivity and skill development of Cambodian workforce is also been in our consideration to include in this new investment law as well. Cambodia have also been putting a strong emphasis on the development of special economic zone and focusing on the improvement of international investment arrangement that we are working with the other country to discuss how the WTO can restructure and this will also include the establishment of the framework on investment facilitation for the development. Furthermore, I think the goal of investment facilitation that Cambodia put in place to accelerate our economic diversification is something in line with our IDP to attract industrial cluster, strengthening competitiveness and promoting productivity to help maintain sustainable and high inclusive economic growth. And that implementation of the industrial development policy will be of the important, and we want to move our industrial structures from labor-intensive industry to a skill-based industry by 2025, linking with global value chain, integrating into regional production network, and developing cluster while strengthening the competitiveness and improving the productivity of domestic industry and matching toward developing modern technology and knowledge-based industry. The undertaking this investment promotion, we also been working to enhance our one-stop service to streamline the investment procedures online, more incentives, and provide also the investment aftercare. We also give the full guarantee to investment that there will be no nationalization. If there is a nationalization apply, it have to go through the expropriation process. That expropriation will guarantee you for the investors that the compensation in the fair market value will be applied to those expropriated projects. We are working to promote targeted investment in both industry and investors to harness the benefit of China +1, Thai +1, and Vietnam +1. That is, we not only look into the original country, but we look into those companies that already take the regional approach, that they want to expand to the other market. Cambodia would be their next destination, and this is something we want to collaborate with the other country so that our investment promotion could benefit their future investment here in Cambodia. I stop my presentation here and look forward to working with you. If there are any issue that we could discuss further, we are happy to be with you throughout this whole workshop. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sung, for a very informative review, okay, of the policy of the government of Cambodia on economic development as well as special economic zones. We're glad to hear that Cambodia has issued a 7th round of incentives to further support the private sector. And also we heard you talk about policies on the special economic zones, and then and then also a new investment law is forthcoming. The policy or the strategy, the approach to improve, upgrade industries, okay, by leveraging on human resource development and also new sources of investment. I think, and also the incentives. I mean, the measures on improving the one-stop unit, one-stop services, and making more use of the IT, okay, our IT platforms to improve the efficiency of the investment administration and registration of businesses. I think those should be welcome, okay, by the business sectors. Well, I'm sure, our participants will have a lot of questions to ask from you, Mr. Sun, especially, I think both from people who are new, okay, to Cambodia, and as well as people who have come to Cambodia to explore opportunities or have had investment there. So thanks, Mr. Sun. Okay, so we come back to you when we have the discussion sessions after the speaker's presentation. So after the first two speakers from the government, okay, they talk about strategies, policies from the government point of view. So those set a very good background because they gave us, an update, okay, very much the latest information and the thinking of the government, which is always very essential for people coming from outside the country to understand more. And then now we would like to increasingly we go to the ground, okay. So what's happening inside Cambodia? What's happening in the world of business? Okay, what are the perspectives from the people in business? So we are moving to that. So our next speakers will be Mr. James Chang, James is the marketing manager and a very important part of the management of the, very famous and Phnom Penh special economic zone, okay, which is just off the skirt of the city of Phnom Penh. So James, are you here?
Yes, Professor. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Please allow me to share the.
Yeah. Thanks. The time is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Morning, everyone. Thanks for Professor, and thanks to our respected officials from CDC and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Phnom Penh SEZ. I'm James, and please allow me to introduce our zone by this beautiful morning. And for my presentation part, we will be separating into 3 parts. One is the investment condition right now in Cambodia. The second one is the current status of Phnom Penh SEZ. And the third one is our challenges. So let's start. So inside the SEZ, actually, like our official has mentioned, we have the one-stop service center, which is a very essential part of the services directly into our investors. Within this one-stop service center, we have respected officials from different government units to provide the services directly into our investors, which include the Council for the Development of Cambodia, and Customs and Excise Department, and Ministry of Commerce, and Ministry of Labor. So which means our investors inside the special economic zone, they don't need to go to each of the government units to conduct every procedures from government. They can solve a lot of problems, mainly in our one-stop service center, such as the investment in education and import-export, which is the most important part for the industrial area, and for the custom clearance, of course, and the issuance of the CO and work permit. So many about the business of the industrial part, like the factories or the warehouse, they don't need to go to the cities of each different government department. They can solve the problem in one-stop service center. And let's talk about the tax incentives in Cambodia. In Cambodia, if the customers or investors, they are doing the industrial activity, normally they will apply for the qualified investment project, which we call the QIP. After the application, the investors can enjoy these 3 incentives from the government. The first one is the import duty exemption on construction materials and production equipment, which is very essential for the foreign investor. And the second one, if the investors, they are doing the 100% export industries, for the import duty exemption on production materials, and the export industry and export duty exemption will be served, which means for their materials input and the production output, there will be the tax incentives for the import export. And the third one, I think, is most important for most of the investors, is a property tax exemption, which we apply around 6 years to 9 years of the property tax exemption. And here is the table for what we mentioned about the construction materials and the production equipment, and also the production materials, which for the export industry, you can enjoy all of the incentives on the table. And for the domestic industries, the production materials cannot be exempted for the import duty. And in Cambodia, as our respected official has mentioned, that the equal market access is for all the foreign investors, which means actually in Cambodia, investors can set up the 100% foreigner companies in this country. And also the market is very open for all investors. And one thing that's not included is that the land title, which means for the land available for obtaining the land title, foreigner or foreigner companies are not applicable. So in our zone, actually, we are doing the lease of land, which is the longest one in Cambodia, 50 years. And second, let's focus on the location and the condition of our zone. As you can see, this is Phnom Penh city center, and the purple part is the Phnom Penh International Airport currently. And the colored part, you can see the green, blue, yellow. In the left-hand side is Phnom Penh SEZ. And actually, we receive a lot of support from our respective governments because they have developed a lot of the transportation road and future expressway. And for the road to the Sihanoukville or other port, other countries, it's very convenient for our zone, which is very near to Phnom Penh City. So in front of our zone is road number 4, and backside we can access to road number 3, and to the Phnom Penh port to Vietnam. You can just cross the city around like 50 kilometers. And for the future, we have the expressway to Sihanoukville city. And to the airport, we just have 8 kilometers. And to the city center, just 18 kilometers. Okay, so as you can see of the whole Cambodian map, Phnom Penh City is in the center of the country. And we are close to a city center around 18 kilometers. And to Sihanoukville port is around 200 kilometers. To Bavet, the boundary of Vietnam and Cambodia, is around like 180 kilometers. And to Thailand, we have a border in Phoi Phet. It's around 400 kilometers. And just for information, our company has the second SEZ in Phoi Phet city, which we call the Phoi Phet Phnom Penh SEZ. As you can see, the Phnom Penh is in the middle of the Ho Chi Minh City and Bangkok. So for the transportation and convenience for the transportation is very high value. And for our zone, actually, we have developed for over 14 years. So this is the 15 years of our zone. And for our founder is the current chairman's mother, Lok Chungdiu Oknya Ling Chu Ho. And her family holds around 45% of the shareholder inside our company. And in our management team actually is very diversified. For our CEO is Wimatu-san. He is from Japan. And our CFO, Mr. Fong, is from Malaysia. And myself is from Taiwan. And we also have the colleagues from China and other countries. And let's talk about our infrastructure inside PPSEZ. Right now, as you can see, is the three phases, the current status of our zone. we separate into 3 parts. The phase 1 is for the first development is around 140 hectares. And inside this area, we have 1 dry port near our office. And the phase 2 is around 160 hectares. It's the second part of our development, which you can see the power plant and the sewage treatment plant inside this area. And the third part is close to the river. So we set up the water purification plant in this area. And this area is around 57 hectares. And right now for our current development, 95% of the current 3 phases are developed. So this is our independent power plant. It used to be the backup power for a few years ago because by the meantime, the Phnom Penh city, the power condition is not so stable. But right now, normally we don't use the backup power anymore. And the most major business for this power plant is doing the power services and distributions. And water purification and sewage treatment plant can be expandable for our investors, which means it's not full load. And this is our dry port inside our zone, which is run by JWD in Thailand. And besides the power, water, or some essential infrastructure inside our zone, all of our services inside our zone is a free market. So as you can see, like ISP company, we have around 13 companies who provide a service inside our zone. And we have the thousands of the construction company also provide services inside our zone. And let's talk about our investors right now in Phnom Penh SEZ. For last 10 years, actually, we accommodate a lot of the Japanese companies and Chinese companies from for different industrial sectors. And for the location of the Cambodia, as you can see, we receive a lot of investors from Thailand, Singapore, and Malaysia, and also from US and Netherlands. So right now, around 13 countries directly invested inside our zone. And for the most one, definitely is from China based on the last 3 years. And the first, this is our major strong point inside our zone. Actually, we don't focus on specific industry. We diversify, which means we have the variety of the industrial sectors. So you can see like footwear or garments, textile is only like less than 15% of the investor inside our zone. And we have some of the automobile parts from Japanese company. And we also have some electrical and electronics company investors from China and Japan. And we also have some painting, plastics, and even the diamond polishing company inside our zone to doing the production. So these are the iconic manufacturers inside our zone currently. As you can see, like for automobile parts like Denso, and electronics products like Minibia and SBI. And we have some domestic industry to provide like a food or beverage or animal feed or daily products like Coca-Cola and Yells and Uncle Dairy and Betagro, they are doing the animal feed, and Doa, they are doing the painting. And Laurelton Diamonds, they are the subsidiary company for Tiffany Diamonds. And besides of the most part from the industrial sectors Also, we have some non-manufacturers like Toyota. They are doing the bounding warehouse inside our zone. And we have several companies, they provide the logistics services. And we also have 4 commercial banks in front of our zone. And we have several construction companies, restaurants and hotels. Those kind of the commercial facility you can find inside PPSEZ directly. So it's very convenient for our investors. And about export value, actually this one is not the latest one. We count only for up to the September 2020. And for information, 2020 we have accessed the $600 million for last year. So even under the pandemic of the COVID-19, our investors in our zone still growing, and they're still improving and expanding. And of course, you can see the same condition of our employees. For last 5 to 6 years, the employees actually is growing. And for last year, we have a high growing for like 5,000 workers increase because of the biggest garment factory to locate their factory in South Zone. So as you can see, this is our biggest Japanese company inside our zone, Midvia. They're doing the small size motors and the electronic parts in our zone. Their employees around 6,000. And Sumi Wiring, they are doing the automobile parts and the wiring harness inside our zone. They have 4,000 employees, and for these 2 years, they expand very much. This is their second production plant. And for Lotto Diamond, they have the around 1,300 workers. They are doing the diamond polishing. And as you can see, they are doing the expansion for these 2 years as well. The construction part is their new production line. And then so they are doing the automobile parts. As you can see, they are doing the high value product. So they don't need much employee, like only 400 employees. And also they are doing the expanding for last 2 years. And Marvel Garment is our biggest company right now inside our zone. Actually, they're doing the sport and casual wear for the knitting industry. Currently, they have around 3,000 workers in our zone. As you can see, the plant is very large and is still under construction. And they plan to finish the work by this year for the first production plant. And as EIS, they are doing the electrical and electronic parts as well from Thailand. Right now, they are doing the expansion as well. And currently, they have the employee for 500. Coca-Cola, I think everyone is very familiar. They are doing the beverage, and the employee number is around 300. And PPSEZ is the garment accessory factory from Hong Kong. And they are supporting like the footwear company and garment factories for the label part. And Beta Grow is the animal feed company from Thailand. As you can see, most of part are automobile, so employee is like 75 only. So for our facts and figures, you can see for the current size of our area is 357, and 95% of this area is developed. And so right now, even our company, we are doing the expansion. We plan to have another 116 hectares land for accommodate more investors. And inside our zone, currently we have over 100 investors. Exactly, it's 104. And for the foreigner direct investment in our zone is over 600 million already. and the workers inside our zone every day per day right now is around 26,000.
Thanks, James. I think because of time
Yes, okay.
constraints, I think we have to move on a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Very informative. Okay, very informative. I think we are going to share all the slides. Okay, with our participants, and I appreciate. Maybe we can have more questions and comments. And James, you can supplement your presentation.
Thank you,
How about
Professor.
that? Thank you, James. Yeah. Well, as Mr. Sun a while ago told us, okay, Cambodia has approved 58 special economic zones, and 23 of them are operating. And Phnom Penh special economic zone is one of the more very successful ones. Okay, so we are very privileged to have James here today to join us to outline to us, how Phnom Penh special economic zones has great achievement. Well, we will return to our discussions on Phnom Penh special economic zones, okay, during the Q&A. And now we would like to move on to our sessions on investment and banking, okay. We have invited two major players, okay, in this sector. First of all, may I invite Mr. John Yong, okay, who is the board member of the Shanghai Commercial and Savings Bank, based in Hong Kong, but also have operations and business in Cambodia and elsewhere. And also they are closely invested in the microfinance sector in Cambodia. So John?
Oh, hello. Thank you. This is a slide.
Well, Mr. Jung is now preparing his share screen. In the meantime, I really want to encourage our participants, okay, to mark down your questions. You can send it to me anytime through the chat function first, okay, so that well, I can take a look, and then I'll call upon you to briefly mention your questions during the Q&A session. Because of time constraints, we might not be able to address all the questions. Okay, so so please bear with us, but we try to do as many as possible.
Anyway, I guess I could start with that slide a bit. It's coming on. Yes, so my name is John Young. I'm from the Shanghai Commercial and Savings Banks. So today I will talk about why we invested in Cambodia, and also how we have been able to help our clients during the investment inside Cambodia. So right now, I guess it's on. The first slide. Okay, so it's working, right? Yes. Okay, great. So just a little bit to make all the story make sense. I'll go give a little background about our. Hello? Can everybody hear me? No, it's off now, right?
It's okay.
Okay. So, okay. So, hello. I'm not sure if everybody heard before, but my name is John Young. I represent the Shanghai Commercial and Savings Bank. We were established in 1915 in Shanghai by our founders, Mr. K.P. Chen, is a very renowned bankers at the early part of the century. And his belief in opening Shanghai Commercial Savings Bank is on the social mission. So he basically 4 years into the Republic of China, and he believes with a strong China, it will need a strong middle class and a strong economic foundation built upon SMEs. So we are the first bank, one of the first banks to serve the mass market in China, and he has introduced innovations such as opening a bank account with 1 yuan, microfinance. Actually, there's no term for microfinance back then, but we were already doing that. Global remittances, trade finance, and the founding of China Travel Service, which is to increase cross-border commerce for the people of China. And to give further what we're at this moment, the Shanghai Commercial Savings Bank, we have what we call the 3 Shanghai Bank Alliance, which we have cross-equity holding. So we have the Shanghai Commercial Savings Banks in Taiwan, headquartered in Taiwan, the Shanghai Commercial Bank headquartered in Hong Kong, and the Bank of Shanghai headquartered in Shanghai, which give us a very big Greater China coverage, and that we've been able to service our customers since the opening up of mainland China in the 1970s. Today, we have expanded with offices globally, and especially in Southeast Asia, where we have branches in Vietnam and Singapore, with rep office in Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia. And also, we will talk a little bit more about AMK, which we have acquired, well, actually completed acquired last year. So why did we look at Cambodia? Well, Cambodia is a very fascinating place, with very long, rich history. Although it has, like many places in Asia, has went through a period of intense suffering, but the people are very resilient. We see the people coming back for the last 25 years, where the people has grown from a poverty-stricken country and war-torn country to now what UN consider a lower the government has a plan to continue to rise that, which is the building of the middle class, which is very in line with our bank's mission. And then for the financial institution like us coming into Cambodia, there's a difference. It's actually allowed for 100% foreign ownership, and the regulators are very efficient, and it's considered one of the best in Southeast Asia, actually, and very forward-looking, such as recently they have built up the Bakong payment, which is a blockchain payment for ease of use of integrating all different type of businesses and financial, so make it easier for the building of inclusive banking. Right, so a lot of people still don't have banking accounts, but this will help them to be able to handle their payment. And the second is, of course, the research in the crypto national currency, which is needed, as Cambodia right now is a US dollar denomination as its main currency in business, and also for day-to-day life. But the country has now are promoting the use of Khmer Rouge. And what's better than to actually go into digital, because you have to make all the printing of the money. And of course, it's a very popular investment destination and a very major part of the One Belt, One Road. As you see in our previous slide, using our network, we actually very well linked up with Cambodia, with the Greater Bay Area, and also the Yangtze River Basin region that's being promoted. So we work very closely with the ability to help our customers to link their factories in China and also in Cambodia, and then to the seller across the world. So this is why we looked at Cambodia very interested in investing. And so why do we invest in AMK? Microfinance. It's quite unique because our bank actually hasn't had a full M&A for about 100 years. We opened it Shanghai Commercial Bank. We make investment bank of Shanghai, but AMK is one of our first fully 100% acquisition from outside. And why MFI, all right, microfinance? I think around the world, microfinance these days has a bit of a negative tone to it, and it's been a little bit derailed from the original mission of helping the real poor due to the high interest rate. But in Cambodia, it's actually regulated by the central bank, so which means that the microfinance, especially the deposit-taking microfinance, has a much better regulation to control the action, and having a very strong credit bureau, which also helps in serving the masses, allow us easier to lend to a lot of people. So, and it goes back to our mission, all right? So the AMK is been around since the 1990s, starting as an NGO, and then 2010 became a licensed microfinance deposit taking. And we met the management and the employees. They are very determined to meet the rural needs of to help them economically growth. So in a way, a lot of the DNA and the mission is very similar to our bank. So we are, as SESB, as we said, is founded on a social mission to serve the society, to support the industry, and to build prosperity through international trade. We believe that bank mission is to serve its economy, to help it grow, help the people to all enjoy a better economic mobility, and which is same as AMK, which is to help a large number of poor people to improve their livelihoods. Of course, mostly it's in agriculture area, but agriculture is one of the important GDP contributor to Cambodia, and will be for a long time. And probably the most of the work will be in the modernization of the agriculture. And how do we make sure we do our job? So at AMK, we have on the board level a social performance committee, which we have international advisors and members that help us to make sure, one, that we are helping continue to help the rural poor to improve, but also to provide the right product and transparency and protection. So we cover about 91% of all the villages in Cambodia. So with 150 branches, and mostly using agents, which has been over 5,000 agents across the whole Cambodia. And we are continuing to reach out to more community. And what we do out there is not just lending money. We do a lot of financial education. In order to draw down your loan, you will have to sit down and every time to go through lessons of to understand your loan, your terms, your interest rate, your responsibility, and your protection. So this is very important to us, and this brings a very more responsible borrower. We also are very much helping to empower women, because over 85% of our customers is women. And same with our company. I think we have probably one of the highest ratio of female leaderships in Cambodia, mainly because our customers is female. So that's why it makes sense. And on top of this is that what we do is able to also educate in providing education in how to better their agriculture, right? So agriculture is a very important part of their business. So what we have launched about 2 years ago is an application called Ton La Sap. What it does is it provides information by video, because the literacy is still quite high, to the farmers how to more efficiently to grow their crops, the type of crops they need, what kind of feed, and so on. All right, so we provide a lot of technical guide. Second, we provide the marketplace for them to buy the proper seed, fertilizer. We don't actually run that. We just offer a platform, but we do a checking to make sure it's the proper product. And the third part is also at the same time a marketplace for them to sell to the end user, right? So hopefully cut down the middleman and it will increase. So this is what we've been doing there for AMK. So how can we as a group help investors from overseas? Well, what we have always done in the past, including in mainland China in the 1980s, 90s, we actually help people who are interested to move there to, we have a team there that's just all they do is to educate them about the environment, the business environment, how do they approach each step of the way of opening a company, the issues that they may face. And the same way in in Cambodia and other countries that we have a team there. We've been there for, I think now almost 8 years when we opened our representative office. And we help our clients to really understand the Cambodian situation, the culture, the economic growth, the policies. And we, of course, able to help them to point to the right people as far as the consultants, the tax auditor, legal, which we, of course, now have to go through a lot as a company there. And, of course, the key is always the human factor. I think we educate how to understand the Cambodians, their culture, because this will lower any conflicts and there'll be more understanding between the two sides. And this is also something that we have a lot of information on. And then, of course, we can help through the global network of SCSB, which allows you to actually, as mentioned before, Cambodia actually has an open foreign currency, so there's no FX control. So it allows you to actually do your borrowing from overseas and then bring in, and it's easy for you to bring it back out. So we have quite a bit of experience to help our clients to adopt a more efficient interest rate loan, but also to help them on their easier to move their cash management. And then, of course, on the local side, I think one of the complaints to a lot of investors is how do we service our locally? Not so much about the general banking. Okay, I think that, but one of the major things is, of course, is payroll. Okay, payroll is so in Cambodia, the employees are paid twice a month. So you can imagine, and it's all in cash. So you can imagine the amount of people staying outside every 2 weeks to collect and end up staying very late. So what we have been able to help some of our customers, which last year we started doing, especially with COVID, is that they don't have to stay around. They could go home, have dinner, and then visit their local agent, our agent there. So which opens very late. They could take the money out at that point, which and it's growing popularity. And second, using our APP, they could do a lot of transaction without, their payment to mobile phone, money remittance back to the family, and all that. So this is another major area that we can help our investors from overseas. And also we are adopting a lot of technology, including open banking, which of course one is linking to the government sponsored payment system, but also to a lot of industry to help them to integrate with the services. So anyway, I really do look forward, hopefully, to getting back to Cambodia soon. It's been a year since I've been back there, but with we're able to have a very good team at AMK where via the Zoom that we've been able to manage. But if you have any questions about investing in Cambodia and how we can help, please let us know. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Very good sharing, okay, of how Shanghai Commercial and Savings Bank have invested in Cambodia's banking sector, microfinance in particular. I think the key is actually to know your clients, right? And with the mission to help them. Yeah, I think very good. I think our participants must have a lot of questions. So let us move on to our next banking actor, that is the Bank of China. And then we come back, to more questions in the Q&A. May I have the next speaker, Ms. Elsie Geng and Xu Wei of the Bank of China? Yes. Elsie, are you here?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please,
Okay,
please
I'm
proceed.
going to share my screen now. Just a moment. Okay. Is it okay?
Yes, it's there.
Okay, so, hi. Oh, yes, okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, Linda, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, please proceed.
Okay,
Listen.
so thank you very much for inviting Bank of China to attend today's seminar. So we are going to talk about investment and banking. So basically, Bank of China has been in Plumbing branch, has been Plumbing for more than 10 years, just over 10 years. So we are very happy to have this opportunity to talk more about the situation here, especially in banking. And I also have my colleague, Mr. Xu Wei, who will talk about corporate banking in a while, and I will cover a little bit on personal banking. And then Mr. Xu Wei has been in Bank of China for many years, very, very good experience in corporate banking in Liaoning in China. And also for me, I started working in Bank of China since 2017 in product, and then just came over to Cambodia a few months ago. And Mr. Xu Wei also came over in last May. So probably we can give some more fresh perspective on the investment and banking scenario. So I'll now pass the time to Mr. Xu Wei, who will present his slide in Chinese. So now, yes.
在线的各位来宾，大家上午好。非常荣幸能有这样一个机会，参加并与这个在线的各位同仁共同交流。我是徐威，来自中国银行金边分行。下面就为大家概括性的介绍一下柬埔寨的这个投资营商情况和我们中国银行能提供的一些服务。不当之处，还请各位指正。下面我简单的介绍一下柬埔寨的这个自然状况吧，因为前面有好多专家已经详细的介绍了，我只是简单的说一下。柬埔寨位于这个中南半岛的中心，柬埔寨国土面积大约是48万平方公里，与中国的吉林省面积差不多。地形上主要是平原，是这个湄公河冲击的这个平原。柬埔寨全国有24个省，1个直辖市，首都是金边。金边市也是柬埔寨最大的城市。因为柬埔寨所处的这个纬度比较低，柬埔寨属于热带季风气候，年平均气温在30摄氏度左右。一年呢分为2个季节，是比较明显的哈，是雨季和旱季。每年的5月份到10月份，也就是到11月份上旬属于雨季，几乎是每天下雨。从11月到次年的4月份为旱季，这个期间雨水是比较少，也是这个施工的主要的这个季节。柬埔寨约有1600万人，以中青年为主，其中35岁以下的占比了72%，民族主要是高棉族。华侨大约占这个有100万人左右，其中主要是广东潮汕人为主。柬埔寨实行的是这个自由民主制和自由的市场经济。2018年，柬埔寨的 GDP 是246亿美元，2019年是268亿，实现了268亿美元。通货膨胀率这个在2.5左右，是算是比较低的。对外贸易额是340亿美元。在柬埔寨，这个流动货币主要是美元，美元占流通货币的96%。当地的货币是瑞尔，但瑞尔流通仅占4%。这个两者货币之间这个兑换比率长期维持在4000 就1:4000这么一个比例。在营商环境方面吧，按照这个国际组织可参考的190个经济体中，柬埔寨排名138位，在东盟10国中处于这个偏下这个位置，仅好于老挝和缅甸。穆迪给予柬埔寨的国家评级是2个 B 减。营商主要体现在这个柬埔寨的总体税负相对比较低，仅有这个综合税率只有12.4%，仅高于缅甸。另外，柬埔寨境内的这个最低工资标准相对比较低不足200美元，处于这个10国中较低的位置。经济实力和发达程度也处于这个东盟10国的这个第4梯队，与缅甸、老挝、文莱处在一个梯队。说到柬埔寨就不得不提中柬这个关系中柬2个关系友好由来已久，中国是柬埔寨最大的援助国、投资国，还有这个游客来源国。尤其是2020年10月份呢，中柬签订了这个自由贸易协定，未来中柬贸易的这个上升空间还是非常巨大的。柬埔寨的经济发展情况，从近10年来看，柬埔寨除了2020年受疫情影响以外，其实增长一直非常强劲，增速一直在7%以上，也是东盟国家中发展最快的国家之一。从这个柬埔寨进出口结构来看，柬埔寨出口结构相对单一，因为这个工业门类比较缺，主要是以这个劳动密集型的成衣、鞋帽、农产品为主，占出口总额的72%。进口涉及的方面就比较多了，像服装原材料、建材、汽车、盐油、机械、食品、饮料、药品、化妆品等，主要是这个大部分的这个工业制成品都依赖于进口。来柬埔寨投资也给大家介绍一下柬埔寨的这个优势。中柬关系友好是这个中国愿意到柬埔寨投资的最这个基础之一吧。历来柬埔寨没有排华的这种传统。另外，柬埔寨边境没有矛盾，没有核心利益冲突，就是政局比较稳定。另外，柬埔寨劳工成本比较低，而且外汇以美元资产计价，没有汇率风险，没有外汇管制。行业上几乎也是不受限制的，除了这个军火及其他高污染行业以外，在柬埔寨就是外资和这个本土企业享受的是同样的这种待遇。当然也有这个投资一些不利或者是有风险点。简单提示一下，一个就是柬埔寨的经济总量不是很大，也就相当于中国大陆一个沿海4线城市的经济总量。第二就是基础设施相对落后，全国尚无这个高速公路，目前正在修的这个金边到西港的高路正在修建中，货物运输比较费时。另外就是柬埔寨的电费成本比较高，因为柬埔寨属于一个缺电的国家，电费成本是中国的3倍。另外就是柬埔寨普遍的民众受教育程度不是很高。最后就是柬埔寨的这个运输成本，因为涉及到海运、陆运还有通关费用中推高了这个物流成本。另外就是柬埔寨的工会对于工人的保护也是非常积极，就工会动作比较频繁。如果大家有兴趣到柬埔寨在投资兴业的话，有这么几点建议哈。首先是做好调查，就是您投资的这个行业在柬埔寨的这个实际情况。另外，我觉得最重要的是我们要找一家这个知名的律所，因为当地的这个资金掮客好多还是比较多的。为了避免这种欺诈还是要找一个比较知名的律所。第三就是要了解当地的商业习惯，也便于您投资兴业能尽快的融入到当地市场。第四就是希望咨询中资银行。现在我们中国银行在当地这个主要城市，像金边、西港还有暹粒都设有网点，我们可以为您提供这个完善的咨询服务。第五就是做好公益，也是提升自己企业的这个社会品牌。第七就是合法合规。另外介绍一下柬埔寨的这个税率。柬埔寨的这个企业所得税是20%，增值税是10%。这个处于东盟10国中一个中等偏下的这么个位置吧。另外就是如果您在这个香港或者是其他地区融资的话，有一个利息预期税是15%。关于投资的这个考虑方向有几个建议可供大家参考。第一就是基础设施建设，电力、路桥港口这是柬埔寨比较缺的这几个行业。 第二就是劳动密集型的，像成衣、制鞋，有这个也是投资的一个方向。第三就是承接大陆的一些产业转移啊，我们建设这个工业园还有仓储的一些投资。第四就是未来一个成长空间比较大的就是农产品的收购、仓储、加工及出口。第五是围绕旅游行业吧，就是度假村、酒店也是一个不错的投资方向。最后是因为柬埔寨处于这个城市化建设中，建材也是比较缺的，水泥、钢铁、卫浴啊、涂料都是柬埔寨比较好的这个投资兴业方向。最后介绍一下我们中国银行的服务。中国银行我们已经在柬埔寨成立了10年，我们是2010年成立的，到去年12月份我们就成立了10年。在这10年中，我们一共服务了大约4000多家这个企业客户，为他们提供了这个结算、存款、贷款等服务。如果您这个到柬埔寨投资兴业，这个中国银行可能可以在这个考察期为您提供咨询啊、联络这个服务，筹备期可以帮助您做这个成立企业的审批啊，包括开户以及这个法务等相关的这个联系。在成长期，我们银行可以为您提供结算、存款、贷款、跨境等，尤其是人民币跨境结算，这是我们中行的一个特色。在扩张期，我们也可以利用中国银行海内外一体化的这种优势，与中银香港总行以及境内外机构配合，为您融资融资，也是助力您这个投资兴业的不断壮大。我的汇报完了，谢谢各位聆听，也欢迎大家到柬埔寨投资兴业，谢谢。
Oh, thank you, Mr. Xu. So I know we're running out of time, so I'll be very quick talking about the personal banking service available in Phnom Penh branch in Cambodia for our customer. So to put it in a very simple perspective, basically we offer services to all Cambodian customers, including especially the target segment is Chinese businessmen, Chinese immigrants, and also some local Cambodian customer who are particularly interested in the international service we can provide. So to make it short, I would say this slide can cover some of the basic banking service we can offer. We have personal savings account, personal checking account, and also the bottom square is about the wealth management customer that we are going to target later this year. So it is in line with Bank of China Hong Kong policy to offer service to high net worth individual. This is a regional brand franchise we call Bank of China Wealth Management, which is about offering high net worth financial planning services to customer in Hong Kong, Malaysia, and also in Cambodia, which will soon to be released very soon in next quarter. And next one, we are also talking about some of the major services that provide to our customer here is the remittance services. We have a number of remittance services. The left one is about a pre-exchange RMB remittance services, which means that in Cambodia branch, you can basically convert your US dollars on spot, convert into RMB, and then remit it to mainland China in all the branches, in all the banks, basically. So this is a one-stop service that you can actually do remittance and also do forex exchange in one go, which is one of a kind that Bank of China can offer. And because of our network in China, so it can help a lot with our customer, especially those doing business. The middle part is about direct remittance on RMB, and we can also help company for their employees to remit RMB direct to China, to back in branches in China right after payroll day. So it is a one-stop service again for company owners in Cambodia. So this is one of the major advantages and strength of our company. Next, we are also developing mortgage business and personal loan business this year. In the past, we have more focus on company, but starting this year, there is a lot of potential. We can see the GDP growth rate has been phenomenal in the past 10 years, and the average population is very young, and also they have a strong demand for housing. So we just started the mortgage loan campaign or business in our branches with a very preferential rate and also a very, very good term as well. So this is for local Cambodian, especially given the booming property development environment in these few years. The next is mobile banking. I guess because the population is so young, so other than branches, we have 5 branches, physical branches in all over in Cambodia, but also we offer mobile banking to serve the customer, especially the younger population, demand convenience in banking service. So our mobile banking can offer a one-stop service in inquiry, in transfer, in deposit as well. Mobile banking is also our major focus this year. We will have more functionality, including QR code payment, and also the Bakong, the National Bank of Cambodia's advocacy on the payment system this year. So we're going to launch it in later this year. Next is ATM. Okay, so it's no brainer. So we have ATM services in 2 provinces and also in Phnom Penh as well. Next is, just now I mentioned, internet banking, mobile banking is also a key that we will develop. And we will also go align with National Bank of Cambodia's policy to offer more functionalities this year as well. We just launched the interbank transfer across all banks in Cambodia. So we can use, a customer can use mobile banking and internet banking to do transfer as well. The next 2 slides is basically something that other people may think is a no-brainer, but here it is a very popular tool, that is a debit card and credit card. So for debit card, we can make use of in UnionPay and CSS channel, and we also offer special card for overseas student, payroll customer, and our mass market customer. Credit card as well. Credit card is mainly for the businessmen in Cambodia, and with a maximum limit of $100,000 US as a limit. So we also offer a number of merchant discount recently, so to increase our brand franchise. Next, last but not the least, is about merchant acquisition. It's about bill collection and reconciliation that we can offer to customer, to merchants, and in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, and especially in Siem Reap, where there are a lot of shops during the tourist season. But obviously, right now they are seeing a big hit in the market, in the economy. But this is one of the key offer that we can do. We can offer merchant bill collection from UnionPay, WeChat, and also Alipay, which is one of a kind as well in the market. So you can offer convenience of payment collection for our merchants across the country. So I know I'm running out of time, but last but not the least, I just want to thank all of you for giving us a chance to talk about Bank of China. And this year we have just been awarded the best HR, the best employer in Cambodia as well, given our people policy. And we are also collaborating with the government very closely in terms of doing CSR as well, corporate social responsibility, especially about COVID-19. We have a donation account. So if you need any information or further inquiries, just let me know. I'll stay behind in the Q&A. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'll pass the time back to Linda. So am I on time finally?
Yes, you are. I'm sorry, because time is really short, because we have a very good speakers, okay, and we want to cover more aspects. That's why. Well, I think I like to, because really, time is tight, so I would move on, okay, quickly. Our next section is we will have 2 speakers, okay, are coming from the professional services and the business sectors, investors, in Cambodia, who Larry, okay, he's a professional accountant, and then we move to Catherine Chen, who is the founder executive director of Golden Fame. May I have Larry first? Larry?
Yes, hi, good morning,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yours, yes.
Good morning, Linda. Yes, nice to see you again.
Yeah.
So in order to save time, I'll just start right away my presentations. Okay, today my presentation will be separated into 2 parts. On the first hand, I will be acting on behalf of the Vice Chairman of the Business Associations in Cambodia. And the second portion of the presentation will be talking about some accounting and also some tax incentive issues here in Cambodia. Okay, I would like to introduce the Cambodia, China, Hong Kong, Macau Expatriate and Business Associations to all the participants today. This association has been established since 1998, and we have been serving the Cambodian community for more than 20 years. So in 2016, as the request by the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, in order for the association to join the Federation of Hong Kong Business Association worldwide, we have set up, with the same committee, we have set up another association called the Hong Kong Business Association of Cambodia. The Federation of the Hong Kong Business Association worldwide is a network of 46 Hong Kong business associations in 35 countries. Our associations now have around 100 corporate members covering various sectors like manufacturing, finance, professional services, insurance, hotel, F&B. And over the years, our associations has been participating and organizing various events. As you can see on the photos, we have organized the 20th anniversary of the establishment of the Hong Kong SAR Gala Dinner. We also have been co-host and organizing business delegations organized by the Hong Kong government. On the other hand, our association has been actively involved in social work, like the site restorations program for cataract patients. We also participating, cooperating with the Ministry of Health to do a second phase of the cataract eradications in 2019. Our associations also actively helping the society here in Cambodia. So we have been helping disaster relief for the Cambodian society. What we have done recently is we are providing donations to the flooding victims last year. We also have been working with groups in Hong Kong and donate over 26 Chinese schools already here in Cambodia, total value about $1.3 US, which helped to provide Chinese educations here in Cambodia. Last year, we also participating in last year, we also participating in the China ASEAN's Free Trade Expo, which we already been there for more than 10 years. The upcoming event for the association is the ASEAN's Forum, which we will be the host here in Cambodia. So basically, our association has a very close relationship with the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office, Hong Kong Productivity Council, and other various departments in Hong Kong. We also have a very close relationship with the Chinese embassy here in Cambodia. So basically, we are a very important platform for business related and also livelihood related matters here. So on behalf of our associations, we welcome everyone to come and then to come here as a first stop and provide us all your inquiries, and we are happy to help. So on the other hand, I would like to talk about the accounting and investment issues here in Cambodia. As I said, I'm the managing director of the Allison Auditing and also the Rianda accounting firms here in Cambodia. So as our speakers already mentioned, WUFI is very encouraged here in Cambodia, and the government has been reducing the company registration process, which originally takes about 60 working days, and now you only need 21 working days to obtain all your license for a standard company. All kind of industry are welcome here in Cambodia, except for the timber sectors. So we all understand in Hong Kong, the tax are being taxed based on the source of income. However, in Cambodia, tax are mostly based on the worldwide income. And we understand there's a lot of investors concerning about the accounting practice here in Cambodia. So however, the Cambodian government here assured that the company in Cambodia would follow the international financial reporting standard, which will be a very transparent approach for all the companies who want to invest here in Cambodia. Talking about tax, you have basically 5 major taxes that you have to be focusing on. Those are the important tax filing for the monthly purposes. You see, you have something called the prepayment of profit tax, which is paid based on 1% of the monthly turnover. You have a withholding tax, which is basically relating to the rental expense or royalty fees or dividends and interest fees that you're going to pay to overseas, as well as expenses that you don't obtain any VAT invoices. The third kind of tax is the VAT, which is very straightforward, 10%. It will be on every sales, including goods and services, except for several items for hospital use. The tax on salary here is a progressive rate from 0 to 20%. And there's something that we might not be very familiar for our investor in Hong Kong. It's called the fringe benefit tax, which normally in Hong Kong, we can have deductions like on meals and entertainment or some support for our company staff. However, in Cambodia, all these kind of benefits are deemed to be a fringe benefit, which is subject to a 20% tax. So talking about the annual tax, the standard profit rate is 20%. However, the government in Cambodia also have one kind of tax, which is called the minimum tax, which is based on 1% of the annual turnover. So you will be either subject to profit tax or minimum tax, whatever is the highest. Okay, talking about some tax incentive here in Cambodia, which our speakers already mentioned, the KYP project. So what kind of project would be subject to applied for this kind of tax incentives? For example, manufacturing productions, infrastructures, 4 to 5 stars hotel, resort, shopping malls, agricultural and related process and fishery. Those are the encouraged type of business that you can apply for tax incentives here in Cambodia. As we mentioned, the tax incentive, including the profit tax exemptions, including the custom duty exemptions, import VAT exemptions, also have exemptions on the dividend declare. However, we have to keep in mind that these exemptions only apply for the profit tax and for the import. The tax that I just mentioned before, like the tax on salary, the withholding tax, the VAT are not exempted. We have around 5 major special economic zones here in Cambodia. The advantage of the special economic zone is those tax incentives are automatically given to you. If your business is outside the special economic zones, then you would have to apply it separately. Other than talking about business which has annual income more than $1 million, the Cambodian government also providing tax incentives for SME. So basically SMEs enterprises has annual income less than $1 million US. Rather than having like 6 to 9 years of tax incentive, SME only have 3 years of tax exemptions. It can be extended to 5 years if you meet certain requirement. They also encourage 20% expense on accounting software and also R&D related expenses as well. Practically speaking, in the Cambodian government has provided a very investment-friendly forensic control, as mentioned earlier by the speakers. Basically, all the transfer with the supporting document will be allowed here in Cambodia. Any transactions with more than 100,000 US dollar would have to be reported to the National Bank of Cambodia However, no approval is needed and no tax completion certificate is needed. Recently, the China and Cambodian government had signed a free trade agreement, which not only encouraging the Belt and Road sectors, but also trying to stimulate and harmonize the economics, for example, in the medical sectors, the sewage sectors, e-commerce sectors, green finance sectors. Those are the area that would be focusing between the Hong Kong and Cambodia, the China and Cambodia. The Cambodian government also has signed a DTA, a double taxation treaty between Hong Kong and Cambodia. This is a very important tax treaties. As we have experienced, there's a lot of double tax happened between the companies in Hong Kong and Cambodia. For example, we have the DTA will lower the withholding tax rate for interest repatriations, for dividend repatriations, for directive fees, and also related to the personal income tax for Cambodia and Hong Kong as well, which you only being taxed by one state instead of being taxed by both states. As you can see, the Cambodian government also trying to lower the operating costs here in Cambodia. First, they have canceled registration tax. They also have delayed the capital gain tax to 2022 instead of implement in 2021. They also have been standardized the wage for the night shift and the day shift. They also trying to shorten the public holidays here in Cambodia. You may not know, Cambodia is one of the countries that has the highest public holidays here, country in the world. In 2021, we have reduced our public holidays from 23 days to 21 days instead. Tax audits, it's something that would be very interesting and challenging for investor coming to Cambodia. Unlike Hong Kong or China, all the company registered in Cambodia would be subject to at least one tax audit here. So tax audit, you can see there's 4 types of tax audit. You have, we call the desk audit, the limited audit, the comprehensive audit, and also the investigations. Tax audit would be subject to a penalty between 10 to 40%, and any tax arrears will be subject to 1.5% of the interest rate. So basically, what is a tax audit? Cambodia adopt a self-assessment tax regime, basically meaning that you can just file your informations on a monthly basis without being checked or without any supporting document. However, during the tax audit, tax auditors will come and request for all the supporting document that you have provided. So any non-compliance issues will be subject to revisions of the tax payment and tax arrears assessment. There's no way that company can avoid tax audit. So the only solution is companies coming to Cambodia should practice and adopt a good accounting record here in Cambodia, and also trying to understand the tax law and be compliant about the tax law. We understand a lot of investors would like to minimize the tax and also in order to maximize their profit. However, these are the things that we have to balance and pay attention to when coming to Cambodia. Further to the tax audit, there's a lot of variances when understanding the tax here in Cambodia. For example, the IFRS compliance and the tax computations, the revenue recognitions, the level of the expatriate salary, the subcontracting work here in Cambodia, These are very different from what we have understand in Hong Kong. And the tax department will want a very detailed calculations and detailed supporting document in this regards. Obtaining industrial compliances is very important here as well. We see a lot of companies here, they have not been able to understand the permit applications and also not being alert about having a good compliance practice here in Cambodia. The reason could be because there's a lot of personal service here in Cambodia, which a lot of agents just come and said, oh, we can help you on this and that. However, in order to obtain those permits, there's a lot of information that you need to understand, and which is related to more professionals' judgment. So basically, lawyer service, professional accounting service would play in a very key role here in Cambodia. And we also understand that a lot of people doing business here, they would only do the contract in English or in Chinese. However, the official language to be used here in Cambodia is Khmer, and it is very important that all major contract would at least to be prepared in English, Khmer, or Khmer and Chinese. So I would just like to introduce a little bit service about our companies. We provide basically one-stop service from audit to tax, bookkeeping, and custom filings. We are also members of the Cambodian Charter Accountant Associations. We are also a registered tax agent recognized by the General Tax Department of Cambodia. We are also the appointed tax firm for the business associations. And then these are some of the major projects that we have done here in Cambodia. For example, like doing health check service for IPO listing in Shanghai, advisory service for IPO listing in Hong Kong. We also assist in tax audit settlement and tax completion certificate clearance arrangement for IPO in Hong Kong. We also assist in providing the bank loan disbursement verifications for Chinese state-owned enterprise, duty report, and also applying license here in Cambodia. So here is our contact. I would like to keep this presentation short, and please welcome to pose your questions during the inquiry sections. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry. Well, what we know from Larry is that, well, for those who would like to go to Cambodia for investment or for business, you won't be alone, okay? Because we have the Hong Kong Business Association of Cambodia established for a few years already. Even though the association was established only for a few years, actually, you know, lots of Hong Kong related business people have been there for decades, okay? So Larry is one of them, and his family, and got a lot of a circle of business people. So they would be, so if you go to join, start your business in Cambodia, you will find, you know, a group of pioneers, okay, that they will be there, and you can learn from their experience. And what Larry also shared with us is his professional expertise, okay, his advice as a professional accountant, especially taxation issues. So you will be assured that you can be well served, okay, by people that you are familiar, you know, from Hong Kong circles. Okay, so shall I invite Catherine Chan? Yes. Catherine is the founder, executive director of a very important, the largest private sector investment from Hong Kong in Cambodia. That is the Gold Fame Group, okay? And also Catherine has been winning a lot of awards in recent years. So we'd like to pass the time to her to share with us their story. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, and good morning, everyone. So I believe that you have known a lot about Cambodia following our previous speakers. So I'm representing GoFame Group, the largest Hong Kong investor in Cambodia, to share with you today. So let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Catherine, and I'm the director and also the executive director of Urban Village and Factory Phnom Penh, which is also the biggest Hong Kong property development in Cambodia. So GoFame Group is established in Hong Kong, and we focus on 4 main areas of businesses. First of all, manufacturing, and second, forestry, property development, and financial institutions. Go to the next slide. Yep. So in terms of manufacturing, we are actually the top 4 global sweaters manufacturer in the world. So we established in 1992 in Hong Kong. Our headquarters is in Hong Kong, and we also own the biggest factory in Cambodia, and we have we have a factory in China and office in Spain as well. And we went to Cambodia since 25 years ago. So I believe we are quite one of the oldest investors in Cambodia as well from Hong Kong. And in the 90s, we had actually more than 100,000 of employees in Cambodia and also around the world. And now, as we have invested in a lot of machineries, so we have over 30,000 employees. And our forestry concession land is over 40,000 hectares, which is 400 million square meters in Cambodia. We are also one of the top 10 forestry investors in Cambodia. So if you talk about a manufacturer, if you go to Uniqlo, these are the brands, some of the key brands that we do. If you go to Uniqlo, you see made in Cambodia, 100% of the sweaters, they are from our factory. And of course, Zara, Marks & Spencer, Superdry, around 80 to 90% of the sweaters, they are ours as well. So this is generally just our showroom in Cambodia, which is quite big, and our showroom in Spain, which we work with Interdesk Group, the Zara Group. And some of the shots of our factory. So we have our SGS certified laboratory in our factory. We have our dyeing factory. It is actually the biggest dyeing factory in Southeast Asia. And we have also invested over $1 billion of Japanese machineries, Shimazaki machineries. And we have our own printing factory, etc. So it's all set up. In fact, we have 9 factories in Cambodia, and 2 of our factories is also in the special economic zone as well. This is our forest, actually just a few screenshots of our forest. As you know, China has a policy of asking state companies to go global. So Cambodia is actually very good in forestry, well, back then, since many years ago already. So we have a lot of cooperations with them, including in plantation of bananas, coconuts, and also rubber trees, cassavas, etc. So I would like to share with you more about when we started in Cambodia back in the 90s. Well, this was what Cambodia was looked like. Well, it was mainly focusing on agriculture, and this is what Cambodia looks like now. As you have seen, you can see that it's a lot of changes, and you have a lot of tall buildings and many roads, etc. And it has a beautiful night view as well. So why we went to Cambodia since 25 years ago? Let's look at just some brief information about Cambodia. About the location, Cambodia is actually located in the middle of Southeast Asia. So it's across the border. You can go there by on road, which is Thailand, Laos, Vietnam. They're all connecting, and it has a deep sea port as well. So that means that you can ship out your goods quite conveniently to other countries. The GDP in Cambodia in 2020 is $27 billion, and GDP per capita is around $1,600 per capita. And what its economic structure is mostly like now is the highest percentage is the service sector, and secondly is the industrial sector, then is the agriculture, which is only a small percentage. In terms of population, it has 16 million population in Cambodia, and within Phnom Penh, it has around 2.5 to 3 million population in Phnom Penh, in the capital city. Of course, most of Cambodian, they are Buddhists. So actually the culture is a bit like Thailand. And the key point about is the median age of Cambodian. They are really young. Over 70% of its population is under 30 years old, and the median age is only around 26 years old. And actually from Hong Kong to Cambodia, it only takes around 2.5 hours, which is even shorter than the traveling time when you go to Thailand. So this is the population split in Cambodia. It was also why we decided to invest in Cambodia, but not other countries in Southeast Asia. You can see quite a perfect pyramid here, a perfect triangle pyramid when you compare to, Japan and probably China now is quite an inverted triangle. So as I said, over 70% of the population, they are under 30 years old. And Cambodia, and of course, we are from Hong Kong. Hong Kong dollars is pegged with the US dollars. It is also a very favorable factor for us to invest in Cambodia. In fact, Cambodia is the only country in Southeast Asia which uses US dollars as dominate currency, and it has no foreign exchange control, which allows us to transfer our funds quite freely from the country, and it is not a CRS country as well. Actually, in Cambodia, when we use a bank like Bank of China, I think we can transmit our fund on the same day. If we do it in the morning, in the afternoon, we can receive the fund in Hong Kong. So it's very convenient for Hong Kong people as well. Why is using US dollars so important? We have done some analysis of the exchange fluctuation. Well, if you see that the Hong Kong dollars versus the other currencies around the world, it's been over 19%, 20%. Well, if it is Australian dollars, it comes to 34% as well. So therefore, using US dollars in trade and as a dominate currency is really important for us. Well, as I showed you in the very beginning in the 90s, what Cambodia was really like and what Cambodia is like now, you will see that there's a huge difference. So this is where our figures, we tell you that the growth of Cambodia, the GDP. In the last 9 years, actually the GDP growth in Cambodia is over 7%. So it's a very, very high growth country. When we focus on the property development in Cambodia, actually in 2018 in the Hurun Global Housing Report, Cambodia and Phnom Penh actually is it has the highest growth in property capital gain out of all the countries in the world. So just within 1 year, its gain is 29.4%. So this 29.4%, including the capital gain of 16.4%. And second of all, the rental return, which is around 6 to 8%. And its currency fluctuation between US dollars and renminbi. So it's around 6% that year as well. So in total up is 29% over that year. So it has it was the top ranked the top in the world for capital for property gain. So I will focus a little bit more on the property development bit here. So if we compare why the capital gain is can be so high in Cambodia, because if we look at the per square meter price in Cambodia, it is around 1/3 of that in the capital of Vietnam and also Thailand. Of course, compared to Hong Kong, it's around 1/10 of its price. Therefore, for its high growth and its high economic growth, the property growth rate is actually very high in Cambodia. And well, the tax system is actually very simple in Cambodia. First of all, it has no inheritance tax. If we compare to countries like, well, China has 20% of inheritance tax, and countries like Japan and Korea, they have 45 over 50% of inheritance tax. But Cambodia, it doesn't have it. All we have to pay is the 10% VAT. Well, some of the developers, they bear that. And for the stamp duty, it's only a flat rate of 4% of flat rate. Most importantly, foreigners, they can actually hold 100% of free strata title when they own a property on second floor or above. So it can also be freely buy and sell, and there's no restriction on trading of on when you can buy or when you cannot sell your property. If we look at the report from CBRE, the demand in Cambodia is actually very high for condominiums because the city is growing really quick. I think you can imagine somewhere like around the 80s in Hong Kong, how it was like and how it is like in Hong Kong, and also around 30 years old of how Shenzhen was like. It's also, Cambodia is also undergoing the same development path because of its policy and its political, very stable political situation. So now Phnom Penh City is growing really fast. Per year, according to CBRE report, the current supply is only around 17,000 units. But according to the same report as well, foreigners who are coming from overseas to invest in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, they are over 150,000, and not talking about the people who are living in outskirts and they want to work in Phnom Penh because of the higher wages. It's almost, actually the wages there are almost double. Many people, they ask me, well, what is the wage, the average wage in Cambodia? When you, if you work in a manufacturing sector, the minimum wage is around 200 something US dollars. But if you work in a service sector in Phnom Penh, the management grade is around 600 to over 1,000 US dollars already. So that's why I think all of you might have remembered that Hong Kong, we used to say, oh, there are many Cambodian helpers, domestic helpers coming in, but actually at the end of the day, there are not a lot of domestic helpers from Cambodia coming into Hong Kong. Well, I think it's because of the city. Phnom Penh City is growing really fast, and if they can speak fluent English and also Chinese, well, they can easily get a job there. And unemployment rate in Cambodia is currently 0.8 or 0.7%, and before the COVID is even lower. So that's why the country is growing really fast. Of course, the country policies is really important. Hun Sen, our prime minister, well, has been there for over 30 years already. So it's been very stable. In Hong Kong, there's very rare news about Cambodia. Most of the time when you hear about the news about donations, etc., they are actually more on the outskirts of Cambodia. But inside the Phnom Penh City is actually growing very fast. So Cambodia and China, they have signed the FTA. Over 97% of the goods export to China, they can enjoy free tax. And of course, the RCEP, Cambodia is one of the members of the RCEP, which is over as 1/3 of the world population, and they can enjoy free tax from Japan, Australia, Canada, and China there in it. Even after the Brexit, well, Britain has already said that Cambodia can still enjoy the free the free GSP, that means a free import duty from Cambodia to the UK. All of the goods, they will have a free duty. So Cambodia has a very open policy for investment. Even if you're a foreigner, you can hold 100% of foreign ownership of a company. So it's not like Thailand, it's not like Vietnam, which you can only hold 49%. And it has a rather low tax rate, well, which you can also enjoy up to 9 years of tax-free incentive as well. Well, there are actually lots of world-class companies they have already now in Cambodia. Also, if we talk about banks, of course, Bank of China, ICBC, or the Shanghai and Commercial Bank, Xiaomi, and also, well, the Porsches. Well, actually, you will be quite surprised that when you are in Cambodia, you see quite a lot of Rolls Royce. Apparently, in 2019, it has sold the most Rolls Royces in Cambodia than in other Southeast Asian countries. And the brands, of course, you can see Balenciaga, you can see Burberry, Jimmy Choo. They are all in as well. Well, these are all the banks from all over the world. And Maybank as well, the largest Malaysian bank. And of course, well, Cambodia is also the first, has become the first country using 5G in ASEAN. So it's catching up really fast. In terms of infrastructure, well, many people might not have known, but in 2023, the Southeast Asian Games will actually take place in Phnom Penh, and it has the new international airport as well coming up. Well, Hong Kong people who buy stocks in Hong Kong might know that Naga World is one of the largest Malaysian group. Has invested in Cambodia as well, and very quickly after building the Naga 2, and it is building the Naga World 3 as well, and the Japanese very mega shopping mall, Aeon Mall, within 5 years is already building Aeon Mall 3 phase 3, and this is how what it will be like. It is bigger. It is not like the Aeon Mall in Hong Kong. It is 180,000 square meters constructed areas. So it's very, very big. And it has a theme park inside the shopping mall as well. So very amazing. Well, this is some renderings for the new international airport, which is actually located in the south side of Phnom Penh city. This is the 9th biggest airport in the world. So, and it's also designed by the very famous architect who designed the Hong Kong International Airport, Norman Foster, as well. So this is how fast you can see that all the infrastructure, all the roads that they are building, how fast the city is growing. Cambodia is actually a country which is full of natural resources as well. Just last year, a few months before Chris Energy, a Singaporean petroleum company, it has started to have the first drop of oil in Cambodia. And if you know that, if you go to some Michelin star restaurants, you might have heard of Kampot pepper. Kampot is actually a province in Cambodia, which is very famous in growing pepper and durians as well. And the jasmine rice. Actually, a lot of, you might not have noticed either, a lot of jasmine rice that you bought from the purchase, it says made in Thailand. The grain is actually from Cambodia, but they trade along the border. So that's why it said made in Thailand, but it's actually grown in Cambodia. Well, many people always ask me, oh, actually, is Cambodia very poor? Is Cambodian, what is their salary like? Are they earning very little? Well, as the country is growing really fast, you know, this building is the Opus Hong Kong, one of the most expensive building in Hong Kong. Just 2 months ago, there was a news saying that a Cambodian millionaire, they purchased this 370 million Hong Kong dollars property in Hong Kong.
Yeah, Catherine, I think time is running out. Maybe can you
No problem.
conclude?
Yeah, I'll just round up a bit. So this is my development in Cambodia. It's our fourth project in Cambodia. It is also the biggest creative hub in Southeast Asia. It's called Urban Village and Factory Phnom Penh. And of course, these are the awards that we have won the Best Condo Development in Asia award. Well, I think the time is quite tight for today, so I'm just going to wrap up my last page. So the property development sector in Cambodia is actually growing very fast as well. For example, for our development is also growing very globalized, and we employed a lot of independent consultants. So if you have any questions about property development, manufacturing, or forestry, please feel free to ask me after the presentation. Thank you, Professor Lee. I'll pass back to you.
Thank you, Catherine. I think the experience of gold fame is very important, reference for our future investors. Okay, people interested in joining Cambodia and adding to the business portfolio because Goldfame has started the investment pretty early, dating back to 1990s, and it has developed from a garment in the garment industry now to property management and to sustainable development. Okay, so a diverse portfolio. So they have a lot of experience in various dimensions and also have a sense of understanding of how history and changes in policies in Cambodia can impact on new investment and ongoing investment, as well as how to meet the challenges successfully. All right, so I'm sorry that time is really tight, so cannot do any justice, okay, to any of the speakers. But I hope that today is only a beginning, okay, only a beginning, and then that's why we have encouraged our participants and actually all our speakers to share your contact information with all of us, okay, so so that in future you can continue the discussion separately. Well, let us come to our last speaker today, okay, before we start the discussion session. And then we have Professor Sirawak from Cambodia. Professor Sirawak is a very renowned scholar, and he researched on not only Cambodia, but also on the China development and of course the Belt and Road Initiative. So today I'd like Professor Sirawak to help us to wrap up a little bit, okay, of the discussion so far, and highlighting Cambodia development in the context of the Belt and Road Initiative. Thank you, Professor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Professor Linda, for inviting me to join this conference. A moment, please. Let me do the slide. Okay, so because the time is limited, so I would like to brief my presentation about the potential and risk of Belt and Road in Cambodia. Since many Chinese firms invest in Cambodia, and we see our Cambodian government try their best to adjust and to improve the business environment in Cambodia, as well as the firm and the business person try to adopt the Cambodian rule and try to understand the rule, especially like for tax and audits in Cambodia, tax regime and audits and audit system in Cambodia. So that is really important for the business person. But when I see in macroeconomic view, our business environment is like so fragile in some case, especially like Catherine show about the real estate market. I think it's so high and increase the price of housing and condominiums demand is so high, and it is so fragile to Cambodia. If the case that like in COVID-19 come up here, the problem is the real estate market was stuck, and we will face the problem. So now, at first, I would like to do the presentation on the potential first. I'm sorry. Okay, here. So when we look at to the Chinese tourism in Cambodia, this is a kind of potential for Cambodian economy and the relationship between Cambodia and China in terms of BRI. And we will see the growth of the number of Chinese tourists to Cambodia. And the number is higher than expectation. In 2018, we just expected that in 2020, we encourage the Chinese tourists up to 2 million, but we reached 2.02 million since 2018. However, the number of tourists fall down during 2020 because of COVID-19. And for trade, that doesn't work.
Professor, your slide, you need to move it down.
Yeah, try to move, but maybe because of the internet. I'm sorry for that. Okay, now let's see the Cambodian and China trade. Up to 2019, the trade between Cambodia and China has increased. And in this case, we can see the average growth of import is 15.49, and the average export increased 27.18%. So we just measure in 5 years from 2015 to 2019. So the growth show that Cambodia grow by joining BRI, by expand their export to China. However, we import a lot from China. When you see the figure of the import and export is really high different, but the growth export of Cambodia is increased. And for the FDIs, this I would like to take only the FDI from China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan together. And we see now it's around 41% of the investment flow is from China. So this is a huge amount of the capital inflow to Cambodia. But when we look at the figures, we will see that the fund invests to Cambodia mostly on factory, finance, hotel, and restaurant. And what I see here, 39.25% go to mining, and also 30% and around 30% go to finance and hotel and restaurant. So this is go to the service rather than manufacturers. Okay, so here is in special economic zone, and we have 5 Chinese in special economic zone. And we wonder why special economic zone is provided a lot of one-stop service, but only few firms just join the special economic zone. This is the question that maybe Excellency Supal from the CDC can answer this question. And let me move on. So Cambodian grows a lot and get the many aid from China, a concessional loan also, that this is the capital injection to Cambodia for growth. And we see from special economic zone to port, from National Road number 4, and now Cambodia and China build the expressway from Phnom Penh to seaport to Sihanoukville. That is a great development for logistic, because logistic also the main problem for our trade. And also China grow the hydropower plants, solar powers, wind powers, and coal powers, and that is to help to decrease the price of electricity in Cambodia. And also, as mentioned by Larry, yeah, we use I'm sorry, presentation by Catherine, that in Cambodia, we use a US dollar asset. And we will see National Bank of Cambodia allow the RMB, Chinese RMB being used in the Cambodian market also. And we try to look at the risk. And okay, so here is the number of trade, Cambodia-China trade 2020. And in 2020, when we look at the value of trade is still increased. It's still high. The decrease, the growth rate of trade decreased only 5%, only 5% only. So that's not much because of the COVID-19. But what is the problem is the tourists. When we focus on the service, you see the number of tourists decreased from 2.3 million to only 500,000. This is the problem, the main problem that we face in the case of economic crisis. And also another risk is termination of EBA and the tariffs on right export to EU, hydropower and social issue. So let me explain a bit about hydropower and social issue in Cambodia. Hydropowers not building only in Cambodia, but also along the Mekong, Lam Chang, Mekong rivers, and in Sayaburi, in Laos a lot. And this will face the environmental problem, so that we need to keep environment clean and better for living. So hydropower is not a good choice. It's not a good choice. And when you look at the investment of Chinese investment on mineral exploration, metallurgical mineral concession is around 62. That is a lot of concession site for this mineral exploration. So this is the problem for our environment and our resource. Okay, so when we look at the social issue, because of many Chinese people, investors come to Cambodia, so it distorts the Cambodian society by too much Chinese people, and they act not so nice in the society, not follow the social norm, and this is will provide the conflict between Cambodian peoples and Chinese people, especially culture conflicts. So this point we need to improve. Okay, and let me go to a conclusion. For conclusion, we can see that China is a big partner for Cambodia and to flow the capital, technology, and production and tourism for Cambodia. But by the way, we have two challenges, very small challenge is environment and resources. So the way forward we need to improve is to strengthen the education, to improve or strengthen the rule of laws in Cambodia, and also environmental protection like renewable energy rather than hydropowers. And also we should focus on agricultural sectors, since the CCFTA has been signed already, but we didn't prepare yet about how to grow, how to provide, how to export agricultural product to China. And I suggest to create economic corridor between China and Cambodia. As seen in this graph, you see Cambodia is a strategical country in the regions in the Southeast Asia, and the connection between Kunming to Cambodia, along the railway, it is really important to be an economic hub in Cambodia. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sirawak, for a very good reflection, okay, in the context of the Belt and Road initiative, especially including the risk, because most of our speakers talk about, what they have done before, okay, and obviously government officers, inform us of the latest policies and incentives to attract further investors. And but at the same time, okay, risk is always there. And then what kind of challenges, okay, investors are facing, and what kind of measures that investors, they should themselves, you know, be taken care of in order to reduce the risks to the host countries, okay, and then to make them their investment more welcoming for the host countries and potential clients. I think that is very important lessons to bear in mind as well. Okay, so now we have come to the very important Q&A and discussion session of today. Okay, I hope I'm sorry that time is always insufficient, okay, for any discussion. So I apologize in advance, okay, because there's nothing, you know, I hope we can continue forever, okay, and then you know, and then we can, but usually time is always short. So before I field some questions from the audience, I'd like to invite our discussant of today, Professor Ratana Yi, okay, who is emeritus professor from the University of Cambodia, who share with us. Professor Yi, okay, you listened to all the presentations.
Yeah.
So far, okay, so, and then I know you are very familiar with a lot of things in Cambodia as well as Hong Kong, because you have visited Hong Kong, and you are very well versed with Hong Kong young people, okay, as and aspirations. Because our emphasis, obviously, our vision is actually to encourage not only our current professionals and business people, but also our up and coming generations of professionals and business people in Hong Kong and other communities to go to Cambodia. So what kind of insights and comments you might have, okay, either for the speakers or any kind of your comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You hear me, Professor?
Yes, very well.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Linda, for inviting me. And first, I would like to say and congratulate to all the speakers, Cambodian and our international friends from Hong Kong, Taiwan, and as well. So because our time is very limited, I'm very quite interested in all the topics have been raised, from policy to the real implementations of the company in Cambodia, and then moves to the last Dr. Sairot talking about both advantage and disadvantage. That well, it's also very important. It's very important. Yeah, I have learned a lot from. I have just only a few things after I read the presentation and listen to the presentation. One thing about the, yes, I congratulate in terms of academic for the Cambodian government to launch new visions or mechanism to attract foreign direct investment and to promote human capital in Cambodia that is called the economic diplomacy. So thank you, Suchit, for highlights very informative on that. But on that comment, I wish to, as a Cambodian, I wish to see how the main actors that industry move far will work with others main actors industry like education, trade, economic and finance, and also with the Cambodian chambers of commerce, how to realize those vision of the economic diplomacy. Because to me, it's a new mechanism that add to the Cambodian economic strategy that have been employed since first Cambodia. So that's one thing. And of course, how you talk about the monitorings and evaluation. So this is very important. Yeah. And another about the economic zones. Yeah, Cambodian have to bring more investment for economic development in Cambodia. So the royal government of Cambodia and all stakeholders with the international friends investment and also Cambodian chambers of commerce try to expand a special economic zone. But one thing, just like Dr. Zayrod mentioned, there are pro and con, positive that take and disadvantage. So one thing, just make sure that the special economic zone does not just or do not just only benefit to the government of few people, of few company, but make sure that the people living around the area got the benefit, not suffering. And it also become more on geopolitics interest as well. So this is very important. I understand that the government have been trying so hard, to disseminate information, working with a fair policy, foreign fair policy. But anyway, it happening on the investment based on the BOI, building new seaport and building a special economic zone in Hong Kong. That is also become a geopolitical interest, especially between the giants, superpowers, US and China. So this is also is very, yeah. And on the other hand, in terms of investment in Cambodia, I think that maybe the government need to do more. That is how to upgrade, to make infrastructure, especially roads, more, more good. It's not always having distractions and renovate or repairs over times every year. So that is not good for transportation in terms of business. It takes a lot of times, consuming money, a lot of things. And maybe more try to simplify the operational procedure, in terms of time consuming for exportation. When the company want to do export to their, their consumer at overseas, they also always complain. Of course, I understand that the government had been trying so hard to make the process and procedure more simplified and not costly. So there's also a thing I also need to look at. And in terms of, because for COVID-19, we don't have Cambodian government, I think, and any legitimacy do not have any new model, to help the SME or the business people, how to cope and challenge with the COVID-19 and create new working environments, and also making new business. Like in Hong Kong, they do like digital or whatever, online business. So try to promote how to promote and encourage, the people who, especially SME, to cope with that. That is very important. And then that Cambodia need to do another thing. My last point, that is to build the internet infrastructures. The internet infrastructures is very important, because internet use also is costly here in Cambodia, but very low speed and not sufficient throughout the country. So I think the government need to work with the private company, how to promote and build good infrastructures of internet in order to make, because the government want to build and continue to promote like e-government, and they're learning how to do the digital government, something like that. So that is a good and positive way to do so. But at the same time, on the ground, look at what are the challenges that Cambodia need to improve and develop. So that is my short comment to a different topic. And also another thing, that we still have electricity and water shortcut as well. So this also need to improve, and with low cost, with affordable cost for especially the elderly people. Yes. So I think that promote a very good environment, business environment, attract foreign direct investment. That is, of course, the government have been offers a lot of benefit in terms of tax exemption, like our speaker have read, and others benefit, including 100% foreign direct investment owned, and also other benefits as well. And education, of course, is very important. Put more money on research and education. Yeah, that Cambodians still have a very small amount, for this investment. Thank you very much, Professor Linda. Thank you.
Thank you, Ratana. Because in order to save time, okay, I suggest that all the speakers, can you register, okay, the questions and comments, and then I will invite, the speakers to respond to the questions, and comments, briefly, okay. I'm sorry that we might overrun a little bit, but I know that people would have meetings and other things to go, okay. So I try not to overrun too much, okay. Professor Ratana's comments, I think mostly three parts. One is he wants to, I've been on the economic diplomacy and how the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who spearhead that and work with other ministries and other actors to implement it. And then on economic zones, I think he talks about, the pros and cons, but basically it's how to ensure the economic zones policies benefit the residents, okay, in the community. And then also on the challenge, of COVID-19 on e-government, okay, or the use of technology. How does the government and I would say business as well, okay, leverage on, turn the challenges of COVID-19 into the opportunity through, for instance, making better use of the technology and improve things. But before the speakers respond, can you register this, okay? And then, because I see a number of questions from participants sending to me, because of shortage of time, I don't think I can invite them to talk one by one, okay? I'm sorry for that. I intend to do so, okay? But because of shortage of time, maybe I can just summarize some of the questions, okay, here. One question is actually quite related to Professor Ratana E's questions on diplomacy as well as economic zones, and when you talk about the geopolitical tension. It's a question from Professor William Yu of Shenzhen University. I think he talks about the Biden administration seems to regard China's participation in overseas, especially economic zones, with a bit of a suspicion, okay? And so he would like to know how the government of Cambodia respond to this, okay? So this is a part of a geopolitical tension. Another questions from a few speakers also ask about in relation to the CDC's matter, that is the SEZs matters. I think James as well as also Mr. Song may want to respond. Like for Phnom Penh Special Economic Zone, participants would like to know, okay, for instance, because you talk about lots of manufacturing plants, okay, in the zone. So how about any major non-manufacturing businesses already invested in Phnom Penh Special Economic Zone? And one participant is interested to know about electronic products and whether there is any research center in the zone that can maybe facilitate such kind of business. On broader policies, like some participants ask questions regarding any restrictions or requirement on local directorships, okay, in companies, or actually foreign directorships are okay, so that would give more flexibility. Yeah, I think Larry nod his head. Okay, so maybe the answer is no, right? No requirement. That's good. What are the else? Let me see.
Ms. Linda.
Yes.
Just one thing about Bank of China's information. Of course, I already wrote in the chat that please correct information on the Cambodian territory side, okay? It's not 180,000, but 181 certified kilometer sphere. That is also based on our constitution as well. Yeah. So please correct that one. Thank you. Yeah.
Sure. Well, there's a question for Catherine. Okay. The question for you is that as an active investor and developer, okay, in private co-owned buildings, there's observation that there are many ongoing projects to the point that it seems to be oversupply, okay, in the market. So, what is the observation of this supply and demand situation? I think, okay.
So actually, in the property sector, we always divide into high-end, medium, and affordable condominiums. At some point, it was true that for the very high-end condominium, it was a little bit oversupplied because many overseas they are coming in, and many people they build the high-end condominium. It's important to divide into different sector, but for the affordable and the medium homes in Cambodia in condominiums is actually not oversupplied, and is actually still in demand in Cambodia because of the fast growth. And secondly, we have to pay attention in also reading the reports, because according to the CBRE reports as well, the prediction of the condominium built, for example, in 2 years ago, it was around 20,000 to 30,000 condominiums units per year. But at the end of the day, it was only 17,000 units, which is actually built. So when we talk about the demand supply, first of all, the supply is not that many at the end of the day, because some of them they did not complete in time. And second of all, we have to pay attention into different class of the condominiums.
Okay, so the answer is, you need to be, investment needs to be wise. Okay, market differentiation is the key.
Yeah, that's right. Good summary. Thank you.
So also another question is about Cambodia's infrastructure and energy strategy, okay, because the emphasis on going green. So what does it, the impact for investment, because which means that investors need to take into account, right, the additional cost. And so I think that's the question as well. So may I maybe invite Shuchit to start with some response? Yeah, you need to unmute. We cannot hear you, Suchi. Yes.
Sorry, Professor. I think I better answer the question from Dr. Ratanas, and also the questions from our audience about geopolitics. For the economic diplomacy, we understand the risk of the challenges, recent challenges of economic diplomacies. We understand that we are lacking of institutional frameworks to set the policy, directions, and strategies for our economic diplomacies. We know we are insufficient of qualified human resources. We know we are insufficient of financial resources. We know we are lacking of cross-sectoral coordinations and effective information sharing platform. And we also lacking of the branding and marketing campaign. But those can be worked through the interministerial coordinations and public and private coordinations. That's the major theme of our economic diplomacies. And for the Dr. Ratana comment on M&Es, M&E is the most important mechanism to ensure that economic diplomacies can be success. Because we target indicator that we introduce a efficiency tool to monitoring, and the outcome we request and prepare in the detailed action plans by we targeted, which is have to be implemented and updated. Standardized reports on the implementation of economic diplomacy 2021, 2023, so we contain important input and lesson learned and the optimized implementations. So in order to ensure the effective and efficient accountable implementation of economic diplomacy 2021, and 2023, a medium term of education, and will play a key role to ensure the coordination implementation activity that allocated budgets benchmarking against the attainment overall objective and are based on the outcome report relevant parties. So shall conduct a comprehensive detailed analysis and issue evaluation report outcome proposed by potential measures, and which is Ministry of Foreign Affairs is the body, the core body of our coordinations.
So scientific management, right? Scientific management. Okay, I would add effective communication as well. Okay, because we need to work with a large number of actors. So, Mr. Sun, do you have any response to the questions on SEZ policies? Yes.
I thank you. I don't want to respond directly, but just to share with you 2 points on the part that participants have some question on that part of the clarification. When we talk about investment, forget about geopolitics, because money does not categorize the color itself. So try not to invoke in investment to the politics. So this is the message I want to share with the business community, that Cambodia government, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, he's the Prime Minister and he's also the Chairman of the Council for Development in Cambodia, who introduced the first hand in 1994, the open door policy. So we welcome all investment, every economic sector, and from every corner of the world, they can come to invest in Cambodia. And this is, we have to be clear and firm how we open our economy. And that will also help our friend from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that just adopt the economic diplomacy work effectively, how to send the right message to the business community that we are not bound by the political ideology in terms of the investment. Second, on the special economic zone, it is something that I want to inform you also, that it is the initiative taken by our Prime Minister. He lead personally, both strategically and decisively on approving the investment in the special economic zone itself. So part of his diversification policy, he wants special economic zone to attract more investment in the sector that benefit to the economic development in Cambodia. So not only manufacturing sectors that we attract to invest in that special economic zone, we want to make this special economic zone as a springboard for the private sector to enter into Cambodia market. That's why the concept of having that special economic zone is to move them to next door, that the company can link their production with the other regional and global value chain. We put them along the coastal area. We promote them along Cambodia Thai border, Vietnam Cambodia border, because we know that, and we want Cambodia to be part of the regional supply chain, regional production network that link Cambodia to Thailand, Cambodia to Vietnam. So with that, we welcome every sector that come to invest in that special economic zone. So if they want to just find the location that next door. We understand Professor Ratana mentioned about the infrastructures and the need to make more better infrastructure to bring investment. That's why we feel special economic zone is an instrument for the government to promote investment, to bring investment that link Cambodia with neighboring countries so that they can invest in the border, whether they use infrastructures inside Cambodia or they make use the infrastructure in Vietnam or in Thailand that they feel cost of doing business is much efficient. So this is the way that Cambodia would like to attract investment in this sector. When we hear the question about the investment in the Phnom Penh Special Economic Zone, I don't want to go in deep detail, but you can see we have a electronic part and component part producer that made for the auto industries is also there in the Phnom Penh Special Economic Zone, and even the Coca-Cola and other food processing is there as well. Perhaps a Phnom Penh Special Economic Zone could tell more about it, because their daily operation, they have this. But from the point of view of a Council for Development in Cambodia, we really want to have more investment in various sectors that can help us to link Cambodia with the regional production network. One more thing, I like Professor Ratana point on how Cambodia government could do more on the ICT, internet infrastructures. I think this is something we should call for a collaboration, not only just the government itself, because in Cambodia, the participatory approach have already been putting in place to make sure that the private sector benefit from the way the government are doing. We want private sector to join hand with us. We want the private sectors to tell us what they could do and what they can do better. That's why from the late 1999, if I'm not forget enough, December 20 something, my prime ministers have introduced the government private sector forum. We want to have our private sector to develop themselves so that they can be part of the policy advocacy actor. And this is something we hold dear from the first day until now. The Prime Minister never forget this government and private sector forum. We even expand the way how we can engage with the private sectors in the other countries as well. If they don't feel the bigger group have their voice enough heard by the government, I think like Japan, they do have a bilateral investment agreement with Cambodia, and they bring the same forum but a much smaller room so that they can discuss all the matter related to their investment and doing business in Cambodia. And then they bring a lot of issue to discuss with us. If we can track down from the way up to 2009, I think almost 1,000 issues have been addressed, and this have a lot. And recently, the idea of bringing the digitalization to a work that the council is working together with the Ministry of Post and Telecom, and also the Ministry of Economy and Finance, to make sure that the common IT platform would help private sector to load their application online to us, and that we need to make it more efficient and more user friendly, that the investor could get the investment approval online easier. And we commit ourselves, and we hope that the government will adopt the policy on the digital economy as soon as possible. With that digital economy strategy, it would help us more on how we engage with the private sector to make these IT infrastructures in Cambodia workable for the private sector to benefit from this. And the other things, Ministry of Industry, Science and Technology, Innovation is also work on the strategy for science and technology and innovation as well, and that they call for a engagement with the private sectors, also academia. So I think Professor Ratana, you might be interested to be part of that journey. That also would help us in the future, that infrastructures for the ICT, internet infrastructures would be much better and help us to promote investment in the post-COVID-19. We experienced last year that we don't have enough resource. Even the country all around the world locked down. We could not have opportunity to talk face-to-face with the investor, but we still can use this infrastructure to talk. And today, as a testimony, we have more than 100 participants in this workshop. We can share with you the information, and rest assured, whatever the Council for Development of Cambodia have done, we commit to serve you better. And this is some clarification I want to share with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Sun. Very clear. So the very important message that the Cambodian government has an open door policy. Okay, it welcomes comments and suggestions and participation from the private sector. I think we are happy to host this forum. Okay, and then we welcome Cambodian government and businesses come to Hong Kong more. Okay, so that you know, come to Hong Kong more, and of course through online is fine. Okay, these days, but you know, more communication and more discussions are always best for everything. Okay, so because time is really running out, so I just noticed a couple of questions on the banking side. So I say it now, and then I would ask the other speakers to comment on this, okay, briefly. For instance, a couple of questions also actually on the US dollar peg to real. And so, and also the reports about the direct transactions between the two currencies. So questions about you know, how the financial sector and banking sector see this see this development and any advantage of that. And also questions about for the banks, okay, simple questions, but very important is how long does it take to open a bank account, for instance, like that. So may I, before that, James, and you have anything to add or to your special economic zone briefly?
Okay, thank you, Professor. To respond to the His Excellency Sapasun and Professor Ratana, I would like to use this chance to share something I didn't have the chance to share during the presentation. Please hold out a little bit. Okay. Actually, this one is our, we can say the vision and our challenge for the future, like 3 to 5 years, because we see the trend that the supply chain is going to shift under the pandemic COVID-19. So I think I would like to humbly to ask for the authority, of course, the Cambodian government support. I think we have learned a lot of the experience from the Chinese government or the other neighboring country for like a Chinese +1 or a Thai +1 or Asian +1. So I think we can use this experience to attract more high value product supply chain or industry into Cambodia. And the purpose has two. One is to grow our supply chain system. Another thing is to diversify the industry in Cambodia, because right now we can know the industry is in Cambodia is going to upgrade, because with the increase of the labor cost and the economy, so I think it's suitable for the production, like our official said about the electrical or electronics products or automobile parts can be included inside Cambodia. And most important of all, I want to mention is about the industrial cluster, because before, like a Japanese company, they transport their production line into Cambodia as part of the supply chain. But right now, our goal is to attract more parts into Cambodia, making a cluster like automobile industry, maybe not only the parts, maybe the assembling or other application of this kind of services can be included inside Cambodia. And to reach this goal, we need to reduce like power tariff or the quality of power, and also we need a support for the exemption policy or like the cost for the logistics. We also need to improve this part. This is how our private sectors or the SEZ operator, actually we are doing, making our efforts to this area. Just for information and asking for the support from, more support from our participant and also the government to support. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, James. I think this slide is actually part of your slides, okay? And then we would, just to assure our participants, all the slides would be uploaded to our CSHK website, okay, after today. So you will be, you can revisit them and then in greater detail and then communicate with our speakers, okay, separately after we share with you the contact information, okay? All right, so maybe I move on, okay? John and then next LC, okay, very briefly, any comments and response, yes.
You asked about the US dollar and real. I think the policy of the government is to start adopting more real. I think especially in the consumer side, I think on the retail side, the government has been promoting the salary to be paid in real. And also the lending of each financial institution has to be a certain portion to be in real and continue to grow. And it's a good thing. And I think the study of the crypto technology for Khmer Real is also will help the unbanked and also the acceleration of the adoption of local currency. As far as the account opening, I would say that actually is fast or slow. It really depends on documentation preparation. I mean, the NBC has a very strict guideline on KYC. I think in line with the international standard. But but most of the time we found that, you know, we are very clear to tell our customer what is needed, what to find the beneficiary, the corporate board minutes. And if you could get this already and we work with them, it's a very, really short period to open up. So it's not that painful. Individual, of course, is the passport, documentation and information. It's not too bad.
Elsie, you have questions for you. I also, you know, for the bank account opening.
Yeah, I think I agree with what John said about the de-dollarization in Cambodian government. I mean, it is a policy that has been advocated, and our bank, of course, follows suit about, you know, for example, lending in real, and also in terms of payment, in terms of the new Bakong system that has been launched already. And I think it's a very important step to ensure less reliance on US dollar. And then I would say most of the banks here will follow the same direction, but it would take time, definitely, because over like 80% of our loan book, 90% of our loan book is still in USD. And I guess it is some sort of a gradual involvement that all the banks have been following suit. And in terms of bank account opening, this is a very tactful answer. I know it depends on whether enough documentation, right? For personal account, I would say it's much easier. I would say approximately a ballpark of the fastest is 1 day. I can see if all the documentation like your national identity, your passport, and your employment information is accurate. The account can be activated within the same day, including internet banking and also mobile banking. But obviously there will be some back and forth. I've seen a lot of examples. Maybe it would take 2 to 3 days to get it activated for usage. But for company account, it will be much longer, honestly. Same for the case in Hong Kong, I guess. A company account will take, the shortest like 1 to 2 weeks, and the longest will be months. It depends on the documentation. But I guess we will strive to provide the best services. And then, of course, I'm around here. I get the information that I'll try to help as much as possible if our customer are running in any issues. Back to you, Professor.
Thanks. That will be reassuring. Okay. Larry, any things to add?
I think I'm okay.
Okay, thanks. All the time, okay. When respondents, I mean participants reach you, okay, please.
Yes,
okay.
No problem. Anytime, 24 hours.
Yeah, thank you. Catherine, anything to add?
Not for me. Thank you so much for organizing this panel. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Professor Sirawak, anything to add or respond to? Professor? Yeah, Professor Sirawak, do you have anything to respond to or to add? Cannot hear you. You need to unmute. I think. Well, maybe there is some technical problems. Okay, I think this is something we need to bear in mind. Okay, so maybe time is running out. Sorry, Professor, we cannot hear you. Okay, so I need to move on. For the concluding part, first of all, I'd like to thank all of us here, whether you're from Hong Kong, in Cambodia, overseas, because we actually have over 200 registered participants, 250, and then just under 200, okay, join us. Actually, this is a very high participation rate, okay, for all kinds of seminars, and not to say online seminars. Usually we expect 50%, so we are really good, okay. And then we have people coming from, apart from Hong Kong and Cambodia, we have people from a lot of places like mainland China, like Sri Lanka, like places far away. Okay, so we welcome you all. Okay, here, and then I'd like to say again that please you know, keep an eye on our ongoing program. We have done the opening symposium last month, and then today we have Cambodia, and then the next one, okay, we will be working on Sri Lanka, which is on the 26th of April, okay, which is also a Monday. We are going to do it Hong Kong time 10:30 a.m. okay, because to take into account the time difference. Oh, by the way, you know, I'm sure that all of you already receive a training pack from us, okay, on Cambodia. And so that would also, you will receive another one on Sri Lanka again. So register now for our next forthcoming workshop. But don't worry if you don't forget to do it now, because we're going to send you an email later on, and then so that you will have a link to do it again. And at the same time, please give us your feedback, okay? Your feedback is very important because we want to improve all the time. And so please, it's only a few questions, very short questions. So please give us your feedback. And also, you know, today's PowerPoints, okay, and we would produce also a workshop summary soon, okay, that would these will be uploaded to our website as soon as possible, okay. And then at the end, we are welcoming, you know, we're having the Chinese New Year in a few days soon, so look forward to happy Chinese New Year to all of you, and look forward to seeing you all in our next workshop. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for overrunning.
Thank you, Mike.
I haven't kept you from your important meetings and other engagements. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, thanks. Thanks, all of you. Thanks.
Thank you. Happy Chinese New Year in advance.
Yeah, happy Chinese New Year. Happy. Thank you.